It doesn't happen very often, but every now and then a bunch of people who I have never heard about, don't know their names, don't know who they are, they create a Kickstarter for a new Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition book, a new product that looks so ridiculously good that I need to talk about it on my channel, and I beg every single one of you who are watching this video to check it out in this description below. I am talking about Lore of Aetherra, the Lost Druid. Hi there fellow Dungeons & Dragons players and Dungeon Masters alike, I am Mr. Tarask and this is your go-to YouTube channel for everything third-party Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition related. Do you know that expression, do not judge a book by its cover? Well, I am the type of person that goes to a library, yes I still go to physical libraries, and I judge books by their cover. I first look at the cover of a book, see if I want to read the back of it, the synopsis, and then see if I want to read it. I fell in love with my girlfriend, well I got attracted to my girlfriend for her looking good. I think she's the most beautiful girl in the world, still is the most beautiful woman in the world, and I kind of got attracted to her because she was beautiful. I thought she was attractive. And then I got to know her and I actually fell in love with her. It's the same thing for Lore of Aetherra. I judged that book by its cover. I get sent dozens of emails from people doing Kickstarters asking me if I want to check it out and talk about it maybe on my channel. Dozens of emails every month. Not kidding. Every now and then I click on one, no I click on all of them, but every now and then I click on one and I see it and I completely, absolutely, immediately fall in love with it and I need to talk it on my channel. And I'm talking about Lore of Aetherra, the Lost Druid. It is beautiful. First of all, it is beautiful. The artwork is just completely, if there's such a thing as 110% my kind of artwork, then this is 120% my kind of artwork. First of all, the cover looks good and kind of reminds me of like video games like Celeste, for example, where it's all about this abstract art kind of thing. I think it's beautiful, but it's got way more going for it. It is an adventure module of 125 pages, of which you can already download the demo booklets. Yes, you can download the demo booklet for free, so make sure to go to the link in the description below, download the demo booklet, and just check it out for yourself, because they got a lot of things going for them, and they're just putting a lot of extra effort in this. This is not just an adventure module, this is way more than just an adventure module. First of all, it has more than 2 hours of music, like actual music you can play in the background for different scenes for this adventure. And the way this adventure is set up is completely set up for me. It's like they build an adventure for Mr. T. I am a theater of the mind kind of person, you probably already know that, and this adventure kinda is very theater of the mind friendly, because they are not talking about chapters, they're actually talking about scenes. And every scene the players get into is, by the way, a level 1, 2, 3 adventure. Every scene the players get into is actually, it has its own soundtrack. For example, it has like one soundtrack that just, it has one soundtrack for the entire adventure, and then it has like soundtracks for every scene, and then it even has images that kind of move a little bit for every scene. So for example, when I play in my home game, not right now due to COVID-19 of course, but when I play in my home game, there's always a television behind me that I never use for anything. I just only use it to play video games, not for D&D. But now I can, for every scene my players get into, I get like this awesome piece of artwork, like the most amazing piece of artwork ever, and it moves a little bit and it has a soundtrack going with it. So the players like really have this feeling of being in this world. Then there are like soundtracks for them being outside and it's raining, it's pouring rain, and then they go inside and it's still raining, like, but a little bit less rain, stuff like that. They have a complete soundtrack for the entire adventure, and I think, and art for the entire adventure. The art moves, you can play it on your iPad, you can play it wherever. You can even send it to people on their phone just to get in that world. Then there is actually the Lore of Aetherra. It's an adventure in a new campaign setting, but this book is not the campaign setting. They want to create an entire campaign, and this is such a cool way of going about it. They want to create an entire campaign setting called Aetherra, which is basically a world that revolves around ether as its main thing. The world is made out of ether, and that's why it's called Aetherra. It's its own campaign setting, and they want to build this campaign setting through a series of adventures, and that I like very much. So instead of creating a campaign setting and then creating adventures out of that, just picking stuff out of that and creating adventures that fit in that campaign setting, no, they actually they're going to create a bunch of adventures. Well, that's basically what they want to do if they get their Kickstarter supported by obviously, and then have this entire series of adventures become like a campaign setting called Aetherra. And so your players do not have to like dig into this campaign setting or whatever. They actually just play the adventures, and they get to know Aetherra by playing the adventures. The Lost Druid is also, it's of course also on PDF, and a small thing they did, which I actually love very much, I love it way more than I should probably love it, is they have created a adventure. It goes completely off of the standard rules description of D&D 5e, so it's just completely SRD friendly. There's no monster stats in the monster that refer to the monster manual or whatever, only SRD free to grab stuff from the internet. And then they have their own stat blocks. And something that a lot of PDFs do is they hotlink, like if they talk about an NPC and you need their stat block, you click on their name and you go to that stat block, which is very handy. A lot of people do that. But what they do, they have a back button. I mean, yes, I found myself dozens of times clicking on a stat block, then wanting to go back to the adventure, read a phrase or whatever out loud for my players, and I don't know on what page I was. And it's that kind of micromanaging that I just don't want to do when I'm doing a PDF adventure. I have that for almost all adventures. They actually have a button, go back to where you were or something like that. Go back to where you were, or go back to the page or to the overview or to the adventure or to page number 22. I don't know what exactly it says, but it's a back button. It's just in the text, you click it and you go back and you read blah 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 blah. You click back on the NPC, go back to the stat block. So that's a very small thing, but for me, a very important part about Dungeons & Dragons books and PDFs and hardcovers and whatever is the usability. And this usability, it's these kinds of little things that add on this usability a lot. Then there are a few things that is a really cool thing they do for a particular type of player. And that is, they have 3, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2 or 3 in-game books that are written by NPCs in the world of Aetherra. And they are like Skyrim, for example. If you played Skyrim in one of the 70 million releases of Skyrim, you've played Skyrim, there are these in-game books that you can actually read and you can catch up on the lore of the world and everything. They have that in the lore of Aetherra, the Lost Druid. It's basically, you can hand these books over to your players and your players can choose to read them or not to read them. And to my experience, if you're playing with 5 players, there's always this one person that is really lore focused, and if he or she can grab this book, they will read it cover to cover and use that lore maybe for their next character or for the current character. And they're also going to be the ones to judge you for making mistakes. If you make a mistake, like if you're a dungeon master and you say something and they're like, no, according to the lore of this world, I have this book and blah blah blah, they will of course correct you. There's always that one player that will be very happy with this kind of stuff. Then I have to peek on my computer right here. There's going to be 2 maps. I wanted to say 3 maps. There are going to be 2 full maps, and one of the maps is the overview map of the part of the world where we're playing in Lore of Aetherra, and I have to say that's where it's a little bit, it's its downside. I think this map that they put on our Kickstarter kind of looks like one of those maps generated with one of those free map generator tools. And in between all of that awesome looking art that I do not know how they pay for that. I mean, that's just so ridiculously good art. It just doesn't look that good. It looks like one of those, I don't know, things, one of those maps you find on Facebook or on a forum for somebody who created a world and they're like, here's the map, and they created it with one of those free tools, which is very cool for if you use it for your own thing. But in a book like this looks so high quality, so cool. This map is just not good enough, if I can say that. I mean, it is good, but not good enough for what we're looking at in this book. Then there are, of course, monster stat blocks, NPC stat blocks with quick reference links and everything, and it just, the complete thing looks so good. And if that is not good enough for you, they're actually doing another thing for you. If you back this Kickstarter for the lowest amount, everybody gets this, you get the adventure in their Alchemy RPG thing. The Alchemy RPG thing, I'm calling it that, is not a virtual tabletop, but a virtual environment you can use to play your D&D games in, with voice chat integrated and everything. I think there is even dice rolling, and it is, you will get their adventure in that software, and that software runs on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, even on Linux, Macintosh, whatever. And it is, I've never seen anything like this, and they're not kickstarting this software, by the way, they're kickstarting the adventure, but you will get that adventure in their software. So you can also try out their software, which looks very cool. It's not a virtual tabletop, it's a virtual environment, kind of looks like when you're playing Magic the Gathering on your computer, like more like a virtual environment, and not like a virtual tabletop, people sitting around the table like on Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds. It is completely integrated type of thing. It's really hard to explain, so you need to check that out for yourself on their Kickstarter page. So yeah, that's basically it. If you're into cinematic storytelling, like I am, the kind of dungeon master, teaser of the mind, I mostly use Zoom for my online things, and I use my backgrounds to set the scene and everything. I am the cinematic type of a dungeon master. Other people might not be, but if you're the cinematic type of dungeon master, this one is really, it is for you. It is just more, it plays out more like a movie with its own soundtrack, its own ambient sounds, its own like pictures you can look at while playing the game, its own artwork, its own world, its completely own thing, and I absolutely love it. And it goes off of only the SRD of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, so it's completely standalone type of thing. You don't need anything else. You just create a character and go for it if you're a player. And of course, as a Dungeon Master, you can really like storytell the heck out of this, and that is why it is so close to my heart, because I absolutely am in love with that kind of Dungeons & Dragons playing. So I hope you check it out. Check out the link in the description below. If you're not that type of Dungeon Master, just skip this one. I mean, just skip this one. It's not for you. If you're that type of Dungeon Master, make sure to back it, because I want to get my hands on the soft copy or the hard copy or whatever, a physical copy, hopefully. So until that time, I hope your inspiration may guide you. And yes, I'm reviewing the final product when it comes out, of course. I can't wait.